Hello, this is Kathy with Duality Unfolding. So, I have another reading for you. This reading is about what you are breaking free from and what blocks you are breaking through. So, I have 4 groups for you to choose from. I will show you a crystal card and a random card from the deck. And so, each card that you see, each tarot card, is from the deck that I'm using for that group. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out. But the things that we'll cover in the reading are we're going to look at your current energy. We're going to look at what you are breaking free from. We're going to look at what blocks you're breaking through and then what lies ahead for you. So I have a combination of tarot and oracle cards as usual. So again, 4 groups to choose from. So let's see what we have for group number 1. The tarot card is sharing. And then the crystal that we have is Tiger's Eye. And the message of Tiger's Eye is confidence, fearlessness, and daring. Okay, group number 2. We have the Apprentice of Coins and the Rhodochrosite crystal. And the message for Rhodochrosite is love, compassion, and sincerity. Group number 3, we have 3 of Swords, and the crystal card that we have is Rose Quartz, and the message of Rose Quartz is love, joy, and connection. And then group number 4, we have the High Priestess card, and the crystal Amazonite, and the message of Amazonite is luck, abundance, and comfort. So these are your options. As always, feel free to watch more than one reading. I hope the options of crystals and the cards will help you to choose which group feels the best for you, either based on like the tarot card that came out or the crystal or the artwork of the decks. So yeah, timestamps are below and I will see you in the readings. Hello, group number 1. So if you chose this sharing card and the Tiger's Eye card, this is going to be your reading. So I pulled tarot and oracle cards from a number of decks. The tarot cards are from the Osho Zen Tarot, and then just random oracle decks that I felt called to read or to choose for each section of the reading. So this first group, this first 2 cards is for your current energy. And so I feel like the choosing cards have to do with your energy, but I feel like they might also be kind of an overall message within the reading. So I didn't want to use them as the choosing cards. So, what we've got for your energy is the Fool. So you are ready for something new. You are comfortable taking a risk. You are following your heart. You're trusting that you will land wherever you land, based on the steps that you're taking. So as we can see, we've got this Fool kind of stepping off this cliff, just following these beautiful flowers, like head up, not concerned about where they might land. So the thing with the Fool is that the actions of the Fool often look foolish to people on the outside, but the Fool follows the guidance of the universe. So they're open to new beginnings. They're open to releasing control. Yeah, with the number 0, this is the start of a new journey. This is the void. You're ready for something new, and you might be in this space of kind of in between energy. Like when I say the void, I kind of think of it feels like a layover between flights, right? That like you have more than enough time, like you landed and maybe you have like a 2-hour layover. It's not enough time to leave the airport, and layovers can sometimes be at airports that like they're not where we were planning to be, especially if you get like a random layover. Like I was looking for trips one time, and I remember like one of the layovers was in Minneapolis, which felt like it was like really far above like where I was going, and I was like, why would I pick that? Like, why would I choose to kind of go out of my way and be there for 4 hours and then come back down towards like the southern part of the United States? Like, why would I choose that? Because the price wasn't amazing, you know? So this feels very much like kind of that layover energy where it's like you're ready to get to the final destination. You have already left behind where you were coming from, but you're just kind of in the middle, in this kind of in between. And so thinking of that energy, what do we do when we are in an airport that like is in a city that we don't really want to see, and like we don't have enough time to leave? Like sometimes you just sit there and you enjoy that time and space of like kind of waiting and like not having the pressure of like needing to do something, right? Maybe you go and get a snack. Maybe you luck out and that airport has Auntie Anne's pretzels, because who doesn't like an Auntie Anne pretzel? Unless you're gluten intolerant, then I'm so sorry that you can't enjoy them. But you know, maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you wander around and look at things, you know? So this kind of in-between energy feels like you're here. And maybe you don't like being here, but like there's enjoyment to be had. Like there's a little bit of like calm delight that can be had. It's not super exciting, but it's also not terrible. There's way worse things that could happen, right? Like you could have like a 20-minute layover in an airport that you have to take a tram from one terminal to the other, and like you're stressed out and you don't know if you're going to make it in time. So sometimes waiting for that new thing to come in kind of feels like this energy of teetering on the edge of, you know, leaving one thing and stepping into another. So let's see what your oracle card is. Oh, pain. Okay. So it feels like you're ready to be out of a painful situation. Like, and the Fool makes sense because sometimes I understand this. Like, I feel like this was definitely me, like late 2017, that like the situation I am in is so painful that like I don't know what's coming after this, but I am ready to take a big leap of faith, because even if I fall off this cliff and like take a tumble down the mountain, or even if I don't know if there's a safety net there, that risk is so much better than the painful situation that I'm in now. So to me, it feels like this is what you're in, that you've either left behind something painful, you're ready to leave behind something painful, you've had a lot of pain in your past, and you're like, you know, universe, I'm here. Like, tell me which cliff to to fling myself off of, because I'm done with, I'm over this. I'm so over this. Like, how do we get away from this? So that is your energy. Let me read these two. I feel like the Fool and this Tiger's Eye very much resonate. The confidence, fearlessness, daring. You know, the Fool's a risk taker, and even if you're someone that doesn't consider yourself fearless, or someone that's comfortable with risk, like trusting to move towards something that you can't see or that isn't guaranteed is absolutely daring and fearless. The sharing card here, this is the Queen of Wands, and so I feel like this card gives like big Empress vibes to me because of the opulence, the abundance. There's a little bit of like Nine of Pentacles as well, which is, Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence. Being the person that has done all of the work to build up all those 9 pentacles by yourself, but also like kind of looking back on everything that it took, everything you invested, time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, to create and to receive those 9 pentacles. So, you know, we've got these, looks like a pomegranate and grapes, and so that's very like it's very much about abundance, right? That the fruit it can be really sweet. There's a little bit of luxuriousness about pomegranate. Grapes are tied to wine, you know, so there's a little bit of that kind of opulence. She's wearing gold, you know, she's got these like robes that are very bright, long, flowy. She's got these gold bracelets, all this gold jewelry, the flowers behind her. So this To me, this definitely feels like where you want to be, where you're trying to be. It could be where you came from before all of this kind of pain stuff happened that you're trying to move on from. But it also feels like it's something that you're returning to or moving towards. So if you haven't been in this energy before, it's something new that you're moving towards that you will experience. If you've been here before in some way, shape, or form, you're getting back to that version of yourself. So if this energy doesn't resonate for you, there's 3 other readings to choose from. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of look at the energy for each group. So let's look at what you are breaking free from. I think I'm going to put these to my room. Yeah. We'll put these 2 here. Okay. So what you are breaking free from: maturity. Interesting. And let's see, what is this? Believe in the impossible. Okay. So this card feels like a full circle moment. So you're essentially breaking free from whatever like chapter, phase, situation. This could be a relationship, like anything that we can look at as like a period of time, right? Where you can look back on it like kind of like the same way that we look at like school, right? Where it's like, okay, you either had the time that you were in primary school or the time that you were in college, and like it's a cycle that we're trying to complete, right? Like we go to school because we're required to learn things, but also like you go to school because the intent is to graduate, you know, to get your high school diploma, or to get your college degree, or even like taking a certification, like you're trying to get that certification, even if it's like maybe a martial arts class or martial arts, practice, like you're trying to meet these goals that you've set for yourself. So it's a phase, right? Like you have like maybe like yellow belt or white belt or green belt, black belt. So to me, this feels like, because we've got the full spectrum here, and we also have this snake, that's eating itself. You are breaking free from whatever chapter you have been. So you're coming to the end of this cycle. This cycle of pain, like whatever, like emotional, physical, pain that you've been in, you're breaking free from that because you've learned everything that you needed to learn. To me, this feels very much like something that was kind of karmic, or it was something that you needed to complete in this lifetime. So if you believe in past lives, like this might have been something that you've been working through for multiple lifetimes, or this could be something that's just specific to this lifetime, right? Like breaking a cycle around maybe people pleasing or toxic relationships, or learning your value instead of giving away your time and energy. This could be as simple as like asking for a raise because you wholeheartedly deserve it, and you wholeheartedly know you deserve it, because you understand how much you have to offer. Like you understand what your value is, because you have gotten to the point where like you no longer compare yourself to others in terms of like, how do I be like them? You compare yourself as far as like, what are they asking for and what are they offering versus what I'm not asking for and how much more I'm offering. So I feel like this card is very much about like understanding how valuable you are. I don't really know how to like say it in other words. And like all these flowers that are inside of her, that like they kind of look like they're tattooed onto her, but I feel like they're really inside her. Like there's been a level of growth and blossoming that like this that you have been through, but also like because we can see it on her skin, like she sees it about herself and she sees that other people see it about her. And so it's very much like, that's why I say it's like this full circle moment where lots of times like we can have people tell us, you know, that you're really great for this role, or like these definitely are your strengths, and like we might not believe it because we don't have an accurate view of ourselves, you know. And it's almost like when people tell other people like, oh, you don't know how smart you are, you don't know how beautiful you are, you don't know how funny you are, like they're reflecting back to us that like we can't see what it is that they see about us, which is part of our inherent truth, you know. I think that we can be really hard on ourselves. We can be really critical of ourselves. And, you know, also the world kind of tells us that like, your value doesn't lie in your individuality. Your value lies in how much you can fit into a box that benefits other people. So this is really like you're breaking free from a really significant period of growth, like a really kind of, a really hard time. Almost like it feels like flowers struggling to bloom after a really long winter, you know, that like it's maybe been like you've been in a chapter of it being like a really long hard winter, and like the ground is, you know, frozen, and like the sun is out but it's still like too cold, right? So it's like it's almost like the ground hasn't had time, there hasn't been enough sunshine and enough warmth yet for the ground to unfreeze for these flowers to grow. Like that's how it feels. Like it feels like that cold, long, hard winter feels like the chapter that you were in. And now, you know, like the sun shining, you know, like this card, the sun is starting to come up. We've got this light over here, even, you know, like this rainbow here, like there has to be light and warmth for a rainbow to happen. You know, there has to be enough moisture and like, enough warmth for the moisture to be there. You know, if it's very like dry and cold, like the science of it isn't going to work, the weather of it isn't going to work. So it feels like you are coming out of that long, cold, hard winter phase that you've been in. And so with this card, Believe in the Impossible, with this blue moon, just fun facts, a blue moon is any, it's the second new moon or full moon within like a 30-day period. So when people say like once in a blue moon, like if you understand like moon cycles, it's, you know, about every 28, 30 days, you know, and in that time we have one full moon and one new moon. But sometimes like not when the timing's off, but I think when like the planetary rotation does something different, then we can either have, you know, a month that like starts with a new moon and also, or a 28-day period that starts with a new moon but also ends with a new moon, or, you know, full moon at the beginning and the end. So I feel like there's a part of you that you've become someone that you never believed that you could be. You've been through things, you know, we talked about with this card, even though it's the Queen of Wands, like very much having that Nine of Pentacles energy, reflecting back on all that you've been through and like really being able to look at it in hindsight now that like the emotional charge is gone, and like seeing like, dang, like that was really hard. Like that was really hard. I feel like when I retired from the military, I remember like there were times like, especially in like the first 6 months, where it would randomly hit me like how hard it was to be in the military for 20 years. And like some of the times that were just like so difficult, and I didn't realize how hard it was in the moment because, you know, life moves so fast. Like you have all these other things happening that like, sure, there's a problem over here, but then there's like 15 things over here on fire. So it's like, okay, this isn't on fire, even though it's causing me like a lot of pain or it's difficult or harmful. Like I have to put out these fires, you know, I have to put out these fires and I can't look at this one thing right now. And so, you know, it kind of feels like you're in this state where you're able to reflect. And so, you know, being able to look at whatever this one issue is that you overcame and seeing like, I if someone had told me that I would make it through this, I would say, no, that's impossible. And, maybe before it happened, like if someone had told you like, yeah, you'll go through, this is going to happen and you'll get through it, and it's going to make you a better person, or it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you love yourself more. I feel like, if someone had told you about whatever that situation is in the past, you wouldn't have believed them. And even now, you might feel like, wow, I feel like I don't understand how I got through this, but I know I did. And so looking at that, you can believe, it develops this deeper belief in yourself, and also this kind of shifting to where you are starting to believe, which is big full energy. You're starting to believe that you can do things that used to think were impossible for you to do. So I love this, that like what you're breaking free from is this pain cycle. And you're really at the tail end of this long, cold, hard winter. And so this, I feel like you either are in this energy of starting to come out of this, long, cold, hard winter. Like the ground is unfreezing, the sun has been out pretty steadily, the temperatures are warming up. You're either in that part of it, or you are kind of in maybe like a later part of the spring where it's like, okay, I can see the blossoms coming up, but like I don't see the flowers yet. Like, when do the flowers bloom? That like you have done a lot of blooming internally and you're ready to see it on the outside, which I love. Okay, so let's look at what blocks are you breaking through? Ooh, so we have this guidance card. And what does your soul say? Very interesting. Okay, so this card is really a card of kind of moving out of the dark and into the light. We kind of see this person, like, it's not necessarily that they're transforming into this angel, but it's like, this is the past. The past was dark, and, you're moving towards the light. You're moving towards these like lighter, brighter things. And I think the thing that has been blocking you, it feels like there are some things that your soul wants to do. Like, you've been getting like nudges, or even kind of like ideas that, like, when you realize like these things that you're thinking about, like there's this part, the old part of you says, no, we can't do that. But your soul is like, no, we need to follow this. Like, we need to go with this. And I love that we have this angel here. It's right. It's like this divine guidance. It's like this, almost like divine leadership, where like this person's looking back like, no, I can't do this. And this angel's like, no, just follow me. Like, come on, I'm gonna get in the car, loser. We're gonna go do soul stuff. So I feel like the thing that has been blocking you is really a little bit of ego, old belief systems, some self-doubt, which all makes sense, because I think when we go through really painful experiences, that can shake us. Like, that can really rock us. It makes us question ourselves. It can make us doubt ourselves, doubt our worth. And I feel like as you come out of this long, cold, dark winter period, I would invite you to listen to your soul's guidance, to tune into your angels, to tune into your ancestors. If you have a spiritual practice that helps you to connect with like your higher self or a higher power, God, source, spirit, whatever it is that you believe in, like when you think about like divine guidance, whatever that looks like for you, that you kind of tap into that and tune into it and give it some time, give it a voice, because your soul has things that it wants to say to you. We've got this 62 here. 6 plus 2 is 8 in numerology. 8 is a number of abundance. If you put an 8 sideways, it makes an infinity symbol. But this never ending energy, right? That abundance is always around us. And all we have to do is believe that we are worthy of it. All we have to do is believe that we can receive it, or we can learn how to receive it. And it's there for us. So I feel like I really like all the circular, we've got this 0 circle here. We've got this circle back here, circle here, circle, 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 circle. So more of that kind of confirmation of like a full circle moment, that like, you're right where you need to be. So if you're feeling a little bit of that stuck energy where it's like, okay, I'm ready to like move on. I'm ready to get in a rocket ship and move on from this. Like I'm ready to get into a freight train and bulldoze my way through whatever these blocks are. If you're feeling like that you are ready to like pedal to the metal, go, but there's something kind of holding you back, like you're closing out this cycle. And so in the time that you feel kind of stuck, like just allowing like these circles around you to just remind you that like, you're coming full circle, you are closing a chapter, you're closing a loop. And that like once that is closed and completed, that you, like you're moving into a time when you're going to be leaning a lot more on divine guidance moving forward, and away from like this doubt of the past. Yeah. If you feel like you want to open up to like what your soul has to say to you, like meditation is a really great way. Free writing, like, which is where you just kind of get a pen and paper and you just let yourself kind of write whatever comes up. Like there's no punctuation, like you don't need to be able to read it later. With free writing, like the first maybe 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes is going to be stuff that's just your stuff. Maybe you're going to be kind of working through something, or maybe there's something you're worried about and you're writing about that. And then after you get that out, the things that come out are going to be from your soul. They're going to be from maybe your higher self or even your guides, messages that are there, but it's almost like they're behind, my brain is saying they're behind a paywall that is controlled by your ego, that's controlled by like this subconscious programming, right? Because there's a part of you that is like, I can't do this thing because if people ask me like why I'm choosing to do it or how I came up with it, like how am I supposed to say like, oh, my soul told me to do that? like it feels like there's this, like this old programming says that like you have to be successful, you have to do XYZ, and you have to follow the plan that all the other successful people have created and that they've followed. And like spirituality says that like, there's not really a plan. There's just energy, and our job is to either align with the energy or to recognize when we're out of alignment with the energy, and that the energy is really between like us and the divine, and so like your soul is divine, your guides are divine, like your higher self is divine, your God self is divine, like source is divine. So it's really kind of what it looks like, which is really funny and like practical, is like if you know how like if you're in the shower and you're rinsing out your hair and you have your eyes closed so you don't get shampoo in your hair or in your eyes, but like you kind of move and you can feel that you're out of the water, like you don't see it because your eyes are closed, and you just kind of move to where you get back under the water so that you get rinsed off. That I feel like that's like the best analogy for being in alignment, because we can't see, maybe some of us can, but I feel like most of us can't see the energy. It's not like a road that's paved for us. And so a lot of it is by feel, and sometimes it's like you might kind of step out of the stream of water for a little bit and realize like, oh, my shoulder is cold. Like, let me move back under this warm water, and other times like you move and it's like you can feel it instantly that there's, part of you is a little bit more sensitive. I feel like that's how it feels, that you're moving away from like following the rules to get to success. And I say that because of this Queen of Wands. And you're moving into learning how to be in alignment with like divine guidance. Yeah, and learning how to follow that regardless of what other people think. And if I can just add a caveat to this kind of guidance that's coming through, when you choose to do things that are different than what you normally do, or if you choose to do things that like are out of character for you in the eyes of other people, one, you don't really have to tell people unless it's gonna like directly affect them, right? Like if your soul guidance, or if your soul's guiding you to quit your job, and you are and you're married, or you're in a partnership where like that other person relies on your income, like you probably need to tell them, right? Because like that can potentially be harmful for someone else. But like if you want to start a YouTube channel and you have a Catholic mom and you just don't tell her, like there's nothing wrong with that. If your soul's guidance is to do things that other people will not agree with because of their opinionated nature or whatever it is, or you just don't want to hear the feedback, or you just don't want to share because it's your own private thing that you do for joy, or that like is new to you. And like I say all this because to say, sorry, you don't have to justify the things that you are doing if it's not going to affect other people. I think that a lot of times, like when we go through pain, trauma, like really difficult situations, one of the things that can come out of that is that we over explain ourselves because we are looking for someone to validate our pain. And so we're trying to justify why we are wounded. Which like it makes sense and it doesn't, right? Like if you get stabbed in the leg and you have a knife in your leg, like you don't have to justify to anybody that like you got stabbed, right? Like we can see it. There's a very kind of gnarly wound. There's probably going to be blood, like the whole knife in the leg. That's not normal. But I feel like when we have emotional pain, when we have like pain that's hidden, we can demonstrate that we are wounded or are having a hard time, but like people don't respond in the same way to it. Like if you walked into a hospital and like you had a knife in your leg, they'd be like, oh my gosh, we gotta get you seen. But if you walked into a hospital and you were crying, people might be like, oh God, what's going on? It's almost like we live in a world that forces us to validate the things that we've experienced, or to quantify or justify the things that we've experienced that other people can't see. And that if we can't successfully do that, then what happened to us doesn't matter. It's not that we live in a world like that. Like that's the world we live in. And so I say all this, let me get back on track, sorry. That like, as you start to lean more into your soul's guidance, you're working on getting in divine alignment, like the things you choose to do, you don't have to tell everybody. You can if you want to, like maybe you have really thick skin, and if they're like, that's dumb, then maybe you don't care. Or maybe you're somebody that like that fuels you, right? That it's like, I need people to tell me they think it's dumb so that like I have the energy to like prove them wrong. But yeah. Okay. So enough of that. Rambled on about that for long enough. And then finally we have, excuse me. Finally, we have a message for what lies ahead. Oh, okay. So we've got the Lovers and, oh, I am supported on my path. I love it. This dragonfly, I talk about, well, I don't know if I talk about it on the channel a lot, but I tell a lot of people this whenever we talk about dragonflies, that dragonflies, the spiritual meaning of the dragonfly is to exist in two different worlds. And so it makes me think of the phrase like in this world, but not of it, which kind of is associated with Christianity a lot of times. I think maybe like it's something that Jesus said, but it's also really, I think, accurate for the spiritual journey, because dragonflies are born in the water, like the little larvae are born in the water. And then once their wings, are strong enough, they live in the air, they fly around, they come back to the water, but they never live inside underneath the water again. But they will come back and like skim it. So it's almost like you're moving into this time of becoming someone that used to be very much kind of enamored with the world, and like you were raised, in the world, maybe you in a world that kind of didn't have a spiritual element to it, but now you're coming out of that, and your spiritual practice is becoming something that's much more important to you. It's much more definitive of who you are. And so this dragonfly, like you are coming out of the water and you're in the air. So you're kind of like, how they're like very fast and like they're just kind of a little bit sporadic and they like to land on things. So it's supposed to be really like a very, very good, kind of sign if a dragonfly lands on you. It's kind of this spiritual message that that you're a very spiritual person, that you're at a very, very important part of your spiritual journey. But also, like, if you've ever been around dragonfly, they're just kind of weird. They're kind of weird, like very fast, very zippy. They kind of hover, like they're really like little, I feel like I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when they were talking about how birds are fake, like birds are drones. I don't know if you remember that. It's so obscure. But I feel like if any creature could be a drone, it's dragonflies. Like the way that they maneuver, it's like, how is this possible? Like, this is so alien and weird. Okay, enough about my love of dragonflies, obviously. This is not about me. This is about you. Okay, so we have the Lovers card. What lies ahead? So the Lovers card is very much associated with Gemini, which is the twins. And so when we look at this card, we have these two people that are face to face. We have this kind of sacred geometry shape in front of them. Everything is a mirror image. And so there's, these two little faces inside this heart that are like smushed together. They're not necessarily like kissing. They're close enough to, but this could signify that you're coming into a time when you're going to meet someone that's really like a soulmate, like a twin partner, a reflection of you. It could also mean that you are learning how to see yourself the way that the world sees you. So I feel like for those of you that are really looking for love and relationship, I think that Lovers, message is for you. For those of you that are not interested in a relationship right now, you're healing, you're focusing on yourself. I feel like this is very much about learning how to, like, you will be seeing yourself reflected back by the world, and you're finally ready to like look in the mirror at what is being reflected back to you. And so I think sometimes like when we hear that phrase, like take a look in the mirror, it's kind of like indicative of like you're shitty and like you need to look at your behavior. But I feel like that's not how it feels. Like to me, this could look like someone saying to you like, gosh, like, oh my gosh, like you look so vibrant in blue. Like that's such a great color on you. Like you should really wear more blue. It just makes your skin glow and it makes your eyes light up. And maybe like you don't really like blue, like it's not your preference. And so you're wearing this blue shirt and your blue dress or blue hat or whatever it is, blue tie. And you look in the mirror and you kind of look at yourself and it's like, oh, I guess this does bring out my eyes. Or like, oh, I guess I do look a little bit more glowy today. Like I didn't really realize that. Like I just, I'm not a big fan of blue, but like this is my favorite shirt because it's really comfortable, or this is my favorite dress because it's really easy. Like I don't have to iron it, or whatever, the reasons are. Like the reason that you put this blue garment on was not because that it makes you look phenomenal, but because, another reason, like it's really comfortable or it's easy or it just fits well. And so when you are able to look in the mirror and see like, oh, wow, yeah, like, oh, this does make my eyes light up, that is you being able to see the way the world sees you, like being able to see that reflected back to you and like receiving it. I think that, we talked about earlier that, sometimes people can tell us like, oh, you don't know how smart you are, you don't know how funny you are. And we live in a world where we're kind of conditioned to like, kind of disregard compliments, where it's like, oh, you're just saying that. Like, I'm not really funny or smart or beautiful. And so you're moving out of that time where you're kind of unaware of your beauty, gifts, and talents. And like, you're moving into this place where like this energy, you're opening your eyes to see the really positive things about you that people reflect back to you. Like, you're open to receive it the way that like, like if you compliment someone and their response is like, oh, thank you so much, instead of, oh no, this old tie, this is nothing, instead of deflecting those compliments, like you're able to receive them, even if you don't believe them, right? Because we kind of had this believe the impossible because things were hard to believe before. Like, there's a lot of self-doubt before. And now, like, you might not believe it, when someone tells you that, like, your eyes light up because of this shirt, but it's like, you can receive it because that's a really nice thing to say, to have someone say like, oh, you like that color makes your skin look so great. Because who doesn't want their skin to look great, right? Who doesn't want to have sparkly eyes? Yeah, so that is what's lying ahead for you, that there's a lot of support that's coming in as you kind of begin this new journey of kind of being, you're moving out of one way of living, being, believing, and you're moving into a different one. You're coming into a time of confidence. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So group number 1, this has been your reading about what you are breaking free from, what you're breaking through. So I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you so much for letting me read your cards, and thank you for watching. So if you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. If you'd like to comment and let me know what your favorite part was, or if you think I'm a weirdo because I know so much about dragonflies, feel free to let me know I'm a weirdo. Or if you've been thinking about getting your face tattooed with flowers, you know that I'm a big fan of that. We love a tattoo. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you guys have a great day, week, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. Yeah. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So if you chose this Apprentice of Coins card and the Rhodochrosite crystal, this is your reading. When I was getting ready to hit the record button to start recording this, I realized that both of my baby cats are sleeping and they're snoring a little bit. They're about 10, which I think is technically the start of being a senior cat. So if you hear any kind of weird soft noises in the background, if my microphone picks them up, that's cat snoring. So apologies. I don't I don't know. It's a little chilly today, and they like to hang out in my office when I do recording. So yes, the cat snoring is it's a free bonus, free perk of these videos. So I have pulled cards for you from the Transient Light Tarot as well as a few Oracle decks, and we are going to look at what your current energy is, what you are breaking free from, what blocks you are breaking through, and then what lies ahead. So let's look at your current energy. Okay, so we've got 10 of Swords in reverse and reflection. I like this a lot, so we will flip it upright just to see it. The 10 of Swords, we've got 10 swords that are all moving towards this. I'm going to call this a moon. It could be Jupiter, but we're going to call it the full moon for the sake of this. And this butterfly is transformation. So if this were in the upright, I would read it as you are in the 10 of Swords, that you are in a really painful place, and that you are right on the precipice of a big healing, a big transformation. Because this is in the reverse, I feel like you are, especially with these all broken, like this is not a traditional depiction of the Ten of Swords. I mean, this deck isn't traditional, which is why I like it. But the fact that all these swords are broken, to me, it feels like you have broken through that kind of pain, that painful Ten of Swords moment. If you're familiar with the traditional tarot, someone is face down and they have 10 swords in their back. So the card represents things just being done. Like this is the end of a really difficult cycle, but it probably just recently ended because, you know, it would, if we think about it in a unfortunate but realistic way, it would take a little time to put 10 swords into a person, right? Like this isn't like you don't trip and fall into 10 of Swords. This is a very difficult chapter that, like, you know, having things happen where it's like, oh, another setback and another setback and another betrayal. And it's a very, Ten of Swords is a very hard energy to be in. And it takes time to get those swords out, whether it's us having to take those swords out and heal from each, you know, wound, or if we have to ask for help to have someone pull the swords out for us. Like this looks like you have you've come out of that Ten of Swords cycle. So that pain, it's, you might not necessarily be, you probably are not fully healed from it, but the imminence of the pain is not there. Like the swords have been taken out, wounds are cleaned. Now you're in this big healing phase and you're moving towards this transformation. At the time I'm recording it, this is a full moon. So this might be something that, like, with this full moon, because it was an eclipse, you might have been like having some things lead up to this full moon eclipse that really kind of tipped you into the healing and out of the, you know, being wounded. But yeah, so this Ten of Swords cycle that you closed out it's been hugely transformational for you to go through it, but your transformation is not over yet. With this reflection card, we can see, like, it doesn't really matter which way you put it, it's the same thing, two mirrors. And so I feel like you might be doing a lot of reflecting on, like, what happened, how did we get here, and where are we now? Like, it feels like with this reflection card and this in the reverse, like, because of the state of healing that you're in, you know, because those swords have been taken out and you're able to, like, you've got the bandages on, the wounds are clean, you know, you're coming out of pain, you're able to reflect on what it is that happened. Maybe not how it happened, but also being able to see, like, how much you've changed and grown, you know, almost looking at, like, who was I then and who am I now, in a kind of a little bit of a before and after. Like, you are not at the after, but it almost feels like if you have ever had, like, an injury, like maybe you had to have a surgery or you broke, maybe not a broken limb, maybe that's not a good example, but something where there's, like, bruising, or like something where there's, like, stitches or healing. Like, each day that goes by and you kind of look at it, you can see, you know, maybe the first couple days, like, it looks the same, right? But it's like after so many days, maybe, like, with the bruising, it starts to change from being, like, black and purple to kind of like a blue green to a yellow to being all gone. The same as, like, if you've ever had to have stitches, like, you can see the wound as, like, the skin starts to heal, and either, like, the stitches dissolve or you have to go and get them taken out, but you can see that the wound is all closed up and the stitches aren't needed. So it feels like you're kind of in this reflective space that way, you know, that, like, seeing, like, okay, this really hard thing happened, but each day that goes by, like, I feel like I'm getting farther away from it. And also, like, I feel like I feel more and more like I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. So that is the energy of the card. With these two, with the choosing cards, I didn't necessarily want to use them for, like, what your energy was. I feel like they are connected to the reading's energy, like the overall situation energy, more than just you individually. But Apprentice of Coins, Page of Coins, pages are messengers, coins are time, money, energy, resources. So there's a message coming in through this reading about a new way to use the resources that you have. And like I said, resources are not just like money. You know, it's your time, your energy. It can be your connections. Like your, if you are like, if you're someone that has like a good network of people, like even those people, those connections that you have can be resources that like that you can leverage and rely on as needed. This rhodochrosite, love, compassion, sincerity, it feels like you are developing this for yourself. That you are learning, and maybe that's what the message is, that you are deserving of your own love, your own compassion, and your own sincerity. And I feel like sincerity is kind of, it's not like a weird word, but it's something that we don't really use when we're talking about ourselves. So like being really sincere with yourself would be acknowledging, to fully call myself out, acknowledging that like I have not been getting enough sleep because for some reason I am staying up late to be on TikTok. What am I watching? I don't know. Nonsense. I mean, what else is on TikTok? But it'll be like, and this is like excessively late in my brain. I've been blaming the full moon, like, oh, it's an eclipse, that's why I can't sleep. No, I'm just watching nonsense on TikTok. So if I am being sincere with myself, then what I would say is that, you know, I maybe I'm distracting myself a little bit from something. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe I'm just enjoying watching this nonsense because I love some nonsense on TikTok, but you know, my body needs more rest and it deserves rest. And TikTok nonsense is going to be there another time. I'm not going to miss out on it. So, you know, being sincere with myself, like when I start to feel tired, then it's really time to turn off the TikTok and go to bed because I deserve rest. As well as nonsense, but definitely more sleep. So just using myself as an example, like that's how we can be sincere with ourselves, to, you know, to say that, okay, I recognize that there is something that I need that I'm not giving myself, and that, you know, there's reasons for it. I don't have to judge myself about it. But, you know, really sincerely, which is more important, TikTok nonsense or sleep? Right now it's sleep. Because I've done this for 3 days in a row, and like I don't do well on on 6 hours of sleep, and so this is my third day on minimal sleep. So you guys are lucky I'm in a good mood. No, the human body needs sleep, and my body needs 8. So why am I getting 6 hours of sleep? I need more sleep. So I say all that to give you an example of what it means to kind of be sincere with ourselves, sincere to ourselves, and applying like that love, compassion, and sincerity. I feel like is the message that this reading has for you. So that was kind of the energy vibe check part of this. So if for some reason this doesn't resonate, there are 3 other readings that you can choose from. So yeah, let's continue. What are you breaking free from? So I think I'm gonna put, can I fit this? Yeah. Perfect, okay. So, where were we? What are you breaking free from? We have 9 of Swords in reverse. Lovely. And have faith in your dreams. Okay, so 9 of Swords in reverse is so 9 of Swords, I feel like it really doesn't matter because these swords are just kind of hanging, right? But another butterfly, 9 of Swords is, to me, I call it the nightmare card because it is really a card about like how we can get so worked up in our minds that we can create these worst case scenarios. We can kind of fling ourselves into anxiety, worry, dread, really kind of negative spiral thinking, stinking thinking, like people call it. My therapist calls it stinking thinking, which makes me laugh. I don't know why. This is just so, it's like so funny and wholesome. It's like such a wholesome way to describe like, you know, the thought process of like mentally just beating yourself up instead of describing it as like being a self bully. It's like stinking thinking. Okay. Maybe I'm more delirious at lack of sleep than in a good mood. I don't know. Okay. So, Nine of Swords being this nightmare card, like what you're breaking free from is that kind of thinking or that kind of habit. It could even be a situation that like feels really terrible. It feels like a nightmare, but you're starting to see that like it's not great. It's not your favorite, but it's also not as bad as your brain is telling you that it is. Like it's not as bad as like your brain is kind of freaking out about. And this feels like it could be like a situation with like work, but this kind of feels more like a mindset, right? That like I'm never going to find someone that wants to get married, you know, or I'm never going to find someone that wants to have a relationship. And, you know, this have faith in your dreams card feels like you might, you might meet somebody that's like, you know, yeah, I feel like it's really hard to meet people that want to have a relationship instead of just hooking up, or like, I feel like nobody wants to get married anymore. And I would really like to get married, you know? And so you might not want to like date or marry that person, but, hearing that from someone, you know, is counter to like that stinking thinking that you've taken on. Because in all honesty, like we can't know what other people are thinking. So like for us to think like nobody's going to want to marry me. Like you don't know that. You know, all you can know is if you do want to get married or you don't want to get married. Like you can't know what other people that you've never met before will want. This have faith in your dreams card feels like it's just really aligned with that like the nightmare energy that you've been in is making you feel like your dreams will never happen, which is not true. And coming out of this nightmare thinking like you're going to start to see things that align with what your dreams are. Because I feel like this is very blunt. Your dreams haven't found you because you don't resonate with them. So it's almost like the stinking thinking that you're in is you being colorblind, and your dream is the perfect, I don't know, emerald green piece of clothing. I've been talking about clothing a lot in these readings. I don't know why. But like the perfect emerald green, let's say car, right? Like there's a car, the specific car in a specific color that you want. This is your dream car, emerald green something. And like that is your dream, but you can't see it anywhere. And so you don't believe that it exists. And that disbelief is like being colorblind, you know? And so like this emerald green car could be all around you, but you can't see it because you don't believe it can happen. And so once you get yourself some of those colorblind glasses, I'm trying with this analogy. Once you get yourself some of those color correcting glasses and you look around, then you see, oh my gosh, that's my dream car. Like, what are the odds that I would like come and get coffee and like hang out at this little outside table where it's nice and sunny just to like get some vitamin D and some sunshine, and my dream car drives by. Like I never thought that I would see one, and like what a bright spot in my day. So I say all that because I'm nonsensical. No, I say all that to say that like you are breaking free from that kind of those old beliefs that tell you that you can't have what it is that you want. You're breaking out of this mindset that says that maybe you don't deserve it, or it's not real, or it doesn't happen, or that no, you know, like whatever negative stuff your mind has kind of been in for a while. Like you're breaking free from that. And you're shifting your mindset towards having faith in your dreams, which is lovely. Who doesn't want that? Okay, next we have, what blocks are you breaking free from? So, no, sorry. What blocks are you breaking through? So you are breaking free from this negative thinking, but we're going to look at a block that you are breaking through. So this is breaking free from that negative energy, and this is breaking through some financial blocks. So we've got this Six of Coins, and then we've got Creator Water. Interesting. Okay, so this very much feels like work and finances to me. Pentacles, like I said, are time, energy, money, resources. They can also be value, the way that we value ourselves or the way that we don't value ourselves. The block that you have been experiencing, like we kind of talked about, was this worth, right? We talked about it here, like this deserving, like my dreams aren't going to happen because I don't deserve them. I don't think that you have been aware that it was a worthiness thing. It's tied into your emotions. Water represents emotions. In the past, like you're a giver and they're always takers. And I think the hard thing about relationships that are like that, because we've been raised with this concept that love is transactional, right? Like romantic love is transactional, that like when you love somebody, you do things for them that you don't really want to do. And when people ask you to do things you don't want to do, you have to prove your love by being miserable. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best person to explain this, but that's how I feel. That's what I think. I think you probably agree. I think a lot of people would agree, but you are breaking out of this block that has made you believe that you have to be the giver, that is your lot in life, that is your role, that that's just how it is. You're a giver, so you got to find a taker, and this is always how it's going to be, because I don't know, psychology or social media or whatever nonsense that's not fun nonsense like TikTok tells us is that, two givers don't work, two takers don't work. And what you are looking for is reciprocity. You're looking for someone who is willing to share what they have with you as you are willing to share what you have with them. So for the sake of representing what reciprocity is, like this looks very 100% equal and balanced, right? In real life, it doesn't look like that, right? You might, let's say you were somebody that like you love driving, like you just love to go for a drive. You love driving your car. Now that you've got your emerald green dream car, now that you have your colorblind correcting glasses on, you can see. So you love driving this car. You just enjoy driving. You live in a place that driving is not chaotic, but that it's fun. And you start dating someone that's like, I don't have a car, but I can meet you someplace that's in walking distance. And you're like, sure, that makes sense. And then after you kind of develop a relationship, maybe you have this kind of awkward conversation, right? Of like, I really want to hang out, but like, I know you don't drive, and like, I'm happy to pick you up, but would you mind paying for gas? And they're like, oh, no problem at all. Like, that's so nice of you to offer. Like, I would love that. And it's like, are you sure it's not too much of an inconvenience? Because I live 30 minutes from you. Is that okay? You're always driving. And, if they're always paying for gas and you're always driving, that is reciprocity, right? Like, they understand that there is a certain amount of like time, energy, and money that goes into you having a car, doing all the driving, just like you understand that like, if they were to take maybe like the bus or ride a bike or be able to only walk to the places that like you guys would meet at, that like there's a little bit of inflexibility there. But when, you're looking for something where someone is willing to give energetically as much as you are. You're not looking for someone that like you're gonna kind of do this weird like volleyball thing where it's like, okay, I drove this time, you drive next time, or I paid this time, you pay next time. Like, and I think that's kind of the tricky thing. The thing that's been tricky for you is that people will tell you like it has to be 50-50 or it has to be this way. And maybe those are beliefs that you have developed or that you've clung to. This can, if like romance and love is not your thing right now, in work, what this can also look like is if I just work hard enough, then they'll give me a raise. No, they won't. If you just work hard enough, they'll keep expecting you to do more with whatever little they're paying you. And so the block that you're breaking through is that the reciprocity that you want doesn't exist. You're leaving that belief behind, but also you're seeing what your worth is, changing these belief systems, seeing what your worth is so that you don't have any problems asking for what it is that you want. Understanding that like not everybody is going to have their hand open to reciprocate what you're asking for, but understanding your worth enough to walk away from that empty hand. So in a job, this could look like asking for a raise and having your employer or whoever, makes those decisions, your supervisor, whoever, say like, well, like we're really not able to give raises right now. And, we feel like we pay you a fair wage and like we do think you're doing a great job. Or they might be like, oh yeah, like we absolutely would love to give you a raise, but we can't do that until your next performance appraisal in 6 months. Maybe you wait 6 months, or maybe they tell you like, oh, we can't do that right now. And so because you understand what your value is, you understand that you are giving and they are taking more than they are reciprocating to you, you start looking for another job. You maybe start talking to other people. You go on LinkedIn and you connect with some other people that do the same job as you in the same area that you're at, and asking them like how much are they making, and like that you're trying to get paid a little bit more, and like because who doesn't understand that, right? Everybody that is doing a good job at their job that asks for a raise and they're met with a like, we can't, or well, we got you later, and later never comes. Like that's a not great situation to be in, because like why would I continue to give if every time I ask for you to compensate me at my value, that at my worth, I know my value and I know my worth, and also now the value that other companies are paying for these same skills. Why would I stay here? I'm gonna go. Yeah, so that is that's the block that you're breaking through. You're breaking through this block of settling, and also breaking through this block of like not really seeing your value, and also not believing that you can receive more based on how valuable you are, how worthy you are. Okay, finally we have what lies ahead. So we have this 9 of Wands in reverse, and I clear my energy field. Okay. This 9 of Wands, again, is not a traditional 9 of Wands. It almost looks more like an 8 of Wands. Typically in the 8 of Wands, you have 8 wands shooting through the sky, and this is our 9th one. And the 9 of Wands is known as like the Wounded Warrior card. In the traditional tarot, you have the 9 wands that are more like this. And then you have someone standing kind of next to this like row. They have a bandage on sometimes. Sometimes they just look really tired and worn out. With this in reverse, to me, what it feels like is you're coming out of this stage, this phase where you're having to go to battle for things to prove that you deserve them, prove that you're worthy, fighting through anxiety, negative mindset, like this, like like whatever battles happen during this, you know, because like the traditional tarot is kind of designed in like medieval context, right? You've got knights and pages and queens and kings and swords and wands and pentacles, and it's all very like medieval. And so swords are used for battle, right? Swords are used like in a war, in a duel, as a show of strength. Like it's a weapon. And so, you know, what lies ahead for you is that you are no longer in this space of needing to battle. Like you're done fighting. I think before it was a fight for survival is what came to mind. That like you are not a fighter, as far as like you're not someone that looks for a fight. You're not someone that enjoys a fight. Like I think sometimes people, I mean myself included, like can go through something really hard and it's like, yeah, I made it through that, you know, like that's not your energy. There's no joy in war for you, whether that warring is like having an argument with one person, whether that warring is like having to like just fight and scrape and grind to survive. Like there's no love lost for you if you never have to battle again. And so that's what you are moving into, like what lies ahead for you. Like you're moving into a time that like you are not willing to go to battle. That's not to say that you're not going to like fight to stand up for yourself. That's not to say that you're not going to fight for your value, but I feel like it's one thing to be a knight in an army and have to follow directions of like when to fight and where you're going to be fighting and under the conditions. And it's another thing to be a king or an emperor that decides what battles will and won't happen. And so that's really like where you're transitioning from. You're transitioning from a knight that's forced through the nature of their position to do the fighting, to do the battling, and you're moving into this like king emperor energy where you decide which battles will happen. You're picking your battles instead of being forced to fight to defend yourself. Yeah. And all of this, like this closing out, this transformation, we got the 2 butterflies, like that shift is clearing out your energy field. Your guides and angels, ancestors, higher self, God, source, spirit, they're clearing out all of your energy right now. And so you're kind of being cleansed of that like battle worn, battle weary, wounded warrior, almost archetype. Like you're graduating out of that, like from a knight to a king. Yeah, and that's what you're moving towards. That's what lies ahead. So yeah. Group number 2, this has been your reading. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it feels empowering to you. I feel like you've been through some hard stuff. And I hope that, you know, you along the way, or at least moving forward, like you're able to be more compassionate with yourself, you know, that you're able to be compassionate with your emotions. Because when things are hard, like it can make us more emotional, like feeling like we are in survival mode it's so hard. It's so hard. So whatever emotions come up, I hope that you can give yourself the time and space to kind of process them and have them flesh them out. But yeah, I want to say thank you so much for letting me read your cards. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe as well as comment, especially if you have been staying up too late watching TikTok like me, you know, or if you haven't, then just remind me to go to bed. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So if you chose this 3 of Swords card and the Rose Quartz, this is your reading. So I have pulled cards for you from the Tarot of the Curious Creatures, as well as a number of oracle cards. So first of all, let's look at your current energy. Okay, so we've got the Emperor in reverse, this walrus guy, and comfort. Okay. So, Emperor in, well, let's talk about the Emperor upright. The Emperor upright is it's an energy of power, of autonomy, being comfortable in your skin. You are who you are. Like, you don't have to justify who you are. You don't have to like explain to anyone who you are. In the reverse, Emperor in reverse can be, sometimes it could be a bully. Sometimes it can be really uncomfortable being in positions of power. It can be uncomfortable being in the spotlight. It can be uncomfortable being in charge. And so it feels like you are coming out of like that, you're moving away from kind of that discomfort around having power. There's some kind of thing with power dynamics, like your dynamics with power are shifting. So I think before you were very uncomfortable being in positions of power, you're comfortable being, you're not uncomfortable with responsibility. You're uncomfortable with being given authority because you don't see yourself as an authority figure, and you worry that other people won't, and you're fearful of like that confrontation power dynamic coming up. Because if you get put in the past, if you were put in a position of kind of leadership, or if you were put in charge of something, and there was like your first dread was, I hope nobody has any conflicts with me, and instead of being confident in your abilities to kind of be in charge or make decisions, like what would happen is you would ask, like, do you guys think it's okay if we do this? Excuse me. Do you guys think it's okay if we do this? What do you guys think of this decision? Can we take a vote? And so with this being in the reverse and then this comfort card coming up, like something is shifted where you are learning that you're more than capable of being in charge, and that the people that put you in charge, they see things in you that you don't, but also like they continue to put you in charge or give you things to lead because you're capable, and you're finally like seeing that about yourself. You're coming into that Emperor energy, like you're starting to see that like, oh, I am pretty good at being in charge of things, and like I am good at, I am organized and responsible, and like I know stuff, and like people like working for me, or people like following me, or people enjoy the guidance that I have to offer. And so I know I was using a work example, but this could be in a number of things. You know, this could be at your gym, like helping people, you know, like giving a little bit of advice to people that maybe you're having more people ask you, like, well, how do you do that kind of deadlift? You know, and maybe you're kind of like, well, I don't really want to give advice. And, you know, maybe they're kind of like, well, I really like, I'd really appreciate it if you could maybe just talk me through it, right? You don't have to train me on it, but just talk me through it. And like, as you're talking them through it, like it makes a lot of sense to them. They're like, oh, okay. So you put your feet like this, or like you hinge your hips back like this. Okay. I wasn't doing, that's why. Okay. You know, and so you're kind of learning like, oh, I do have valuable information to offer, and that like, speaking up doesn't mean that I'm bossy, or like sharing information with people doesn't mean that like, I don't know, that I'm being a weird gym bro or something. So yeah, just some examples for kind of what that could look like. So that is like the initial energy that I'm picking up for you is that you're coming out of a place of being really kind of unconfident and insecure about yourself, and you're starting to move into a little bit more confidence, especially like with other people. And I feel like there's a good possibility that this lack of confidence is the result of something that happened in a relationship. So Three of Swords is a card of heartache. So we have this mama ostrich, and there's three swords going through this egg. It's got this little heart on it, right? So this is her baby. So, which is, sorry, that's like a really sad way to describe it. But also, I didn't make this card, right? But, you know, Three of Swords can be about like betrayal, heartache, disappointment. This rose quartz is bringing in the energy of love, joy, and connection. So it feels like there was something significant and painful that happened, and that you're moving into this time of like having love, joy, and connection start to come in again. Very much the same way that I felt that you're coming out of this kind of insecure energy into a place of being more confident and more secure in yourself with this comfort card. So let me put these, let's put these down here. Okay. Next, we have, what are you breaking free from? So we've got this Eight of Pentacles in reverse, and the answers you need are coming. Okay. So let's look at the sky upright. So Eight of Pentacles, this card is about doing the work. So we've got this little, is this an otter maybe? Yeah, I don't think it's, maybe it's a beaver, otter. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because neither one of those animals know how to sew. So it doesn't matter what it is. Self, that's me talking to myself. Sorry. So we have this tailor, this furry gentleman that is a tailor, and they are making something. They've got their scissors, they've got their measuring tape, they have their little, I thought this was a cupcake at first because I'm hungry, but this is this is like a needle push pin cushion thing, whatever you call it. I have one of these, but it's a tomato. Okay, I need to eat something after this. Okay. Sorry. Focus self. Okay. So he is literally making something, right? So he's making a pair of trousers or a vest. In England, they call this a waistcoat. If you don't know that, I think it's adorable. But so showing that like this person is doing the work. We had it in the reverse. So there was, feels like there's something that was preventing you from doing the work. And so then we've got this full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming. This, to me, this just feels more like that kind of lack of confidence, that you're breaking free from that insecurity energy that we had come in the beginning, because in like this reversal feels like, it feels like a lot of self-doubt. Like, nobody trained me to be a tailor. Am I good enough to make pants? Is it okay? Am I allowed to sew some pants in my own home that I've done this a bunch of times, and now I open a business and I'm like, hey, is it okay if I hem your pants? Am I qualified to hem pants? Like, well, you have a whole business. Like, you've been doing this. Maybe you've been tailoring things for friends or family, and everybody's like, you do a great job. You should open a business. And now you're like, am I allowed to? Like, is it okay? So to that, I ask you, whatever it is that you've been doing that you are rather good at, are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do that thing that you've already been doing? It's a silly, nonsensical, rhetorical question that I'm asking you to reflect back how nonsensical that insecurity is, because you've been done doing this. Like, you've been doing it. Of course you're allowed to do it. You have been doing it. It's kind of like if I came on here and was like, hey, do you guys mind if I read tarot for you? I've been doing it. Like, if you don't, I mean, if I'm not allowed, then like don't watch this. That's your way of saying like, nope, not allowed. But really, like, there's nobody that gives me permission or takes away permission for me to make these videos and like like upload them on YouTube, right? So you asking if you're allowed to do the thing that you've already been doing is the same level of kind of silly nonsense. And I don't say that like I'm not trying to be condescending, so I hope it's not coming across that way. But I feel like sometimes when our ego kind of tanks our confidence into the ground, or we have something that happens that's tanked our confidence, like we can develop this like kind of silly mindset where it's like, oh, is it okay if I do this? Am I allowed to do this? And it's like it feels like the getting you out of that, like a way to get people out of that is to just kind of ask like, are you allowed to do the thing that you've been doing? Or like I have a friend that I met at a spiritual retreat, and we would talk about stuff, and she would always say it's such a snarky little smart-assy comment, but it really nails this energy, which is, and it's necessary. I'd be talking about things, or I'm complaining about something, and she'd be like, how's that working out for you? And it's like, it's not. And it's like, right, so stop doing it. Just stop doubting yourself. Like, stop wondering if it's okay for you to do the thing that you've been doing. Like, is there a tailor check-in service that you ask if you're allowed to like start tailoring things before you hem a pair of pants? No. And the only person you need to check in with is you. And so if you checked in with you and you were like, hey, I've been a tailor, I've been tailoring pants for a while, is it okay if I tailor pants? Then you, not your ego, but like your kind of inner higher self, soul, would be like, yeah, of course, you've been doing it. You don't have to ask. Like, of course, you should try more things, because that's how talented you are, and you don't see it. So the answers you need are coming, and they're coming from inside of you, especially with this, like, with these, the Gemini is the twins, but also we can look at this as like two different versions of yourself, right? That you're being encouraged to kind of close your eyes and tap in with your higher self, who has their eyes open to something different, a different perspective than you do, so that they can give you those answers in the times that you are not sure. Don't ask the world if you should be a tailor when you have been tailoring. Like, tune into your higher self, tune into your higher self to ask, like, in the times that you feel doubtful, if it's okay for you to do what you've been doing, like, tune into your higher self and ask, okay, higher self, okay, God self, okay, spirit, divine, angels, whatever your higher power of preference is, should I be doing this? And I feel like what they want to tell you is, not only should you be tailoring pants, you should start making pants. You should start designing pants. You should start putting that stuff on social media. Open a Shopify, sell those pants, because there's somebody out there, there's a lot of somebodies that want to buy this thing that you have been creating that you don't realize how good you are at it. Which, between you and me, is the pot calling the kettle black. Because I like to pick a random reading for myself, and I forgot that I picked this one for myself until I told you that the world wants what this talent is that you have, that you've been doing. Oh, I love it. We are doing such a good reading. Look at us. What a treat. What a dream. Okay, so that is what you are breaking free from. You're breaking free from that part of that self-doubt, or that part of you that still questions if you're allowed to do things, if you have the credibility, there's a lot of things in this world that, like, we don't need to be quantified, certified by the outside world to do them, right? Like, to go back to this tailor example, like, being a tailor is not being an anesthesiologist. If you're sorry, if you are making people pass out from non-medical means, that's not something that, like, you can do enough times and gain the experience to be qualified to be an anesthesiologist, right? Like if you're putting ether on people's mouths and they pass out, like that's not, no, we don't, you don't, that's, you can't do that. You can't do that. You, you have to go to school, you have to go to medical school, you have to get certified, you have to learn about the systems of the body, right? That's very specialized. If you want to be a tailor, there's, I could be wrong, I don't believe that there's a tailor school, right? So like you can, let's say that one of your parents sews and like you've always like watched them and they've taught you things and you've learned how to sew and hem from them, you've learned how to tailor things from them. Maybe you watch a lot of fashion shows, right? So you're learning how clothes are designed and like lines of the body and like what styles look good on what body types and fabrics and things like that. Being a tailor is a skill that like the evidence that you're good at it comes from the products that you create, right? So like you don't have to get a tailor certification. Like you don't have to be, there's not a tailor registry that like you have to get your tailor license renewed every 3 years. I don't think, because who's monitoring that? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense. So what I'm saying is there is something that you do that you have to offer that you're already very good at it. And the doubt that you're putting in your mind about whether or not you can actually do this as a business or full-time or even like working for someone else doing it, the fact that you are questioning it is rooted in some other, like it kind of feels like a little bit of like social programming, you know, that like this is how it's done and like you have to ask for permission or like it's not okay for you to just decide things, and you're moving out of that because what it is that you want to do, you don't want to become an anesthesiologist. What's is that the word, anesthetician? I'm just making up words now. You don't want to be a doctor. So you don't need to worry about like all these certifications and all these skills, right? Because like being a doctor, like you can't just sew people up and hope for the best and have that prove that you're a good doctor, right? So like being a tailor, way different. If you tailor some pants wrong, if you hem some pants wrong, there's, you know, maybe the person will be mad, but you can fix it, right? Like it's not like if you do surgery wrong on someone, they're not going to die. So, okay, sorry. I'm going to stop harping on that. Hopefully you feel like the amount of energy I put into telling you that you have permission to do this thing will help you to do this thing. But I feel like whatever this is, like you've been doing it for a while, you're really good at it. You're really good at it. So please stop doubting my friends, stop selling my friends short, and just, yeah, break free from that doubt and like go do the damn thing that you enjoy. Okay. Next, we have what blocks are you breaking through? Okay, so let's see what's blocking you. Oh, 6 of Swords. Okay. And the spark of hustle. Interesting. And we've got this kind of sun with the arrow up. Card number 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 is the number of abundance and never ending kind of whatever. What am I doing? I was trying to make an infinity symbol this way, realizing that you can't see it. And so that don't mind me, please do not. Okay. What were we doing? 6 of Swords. So 6 of Swords is a card of moving on. So the blocks that you're breaking through are the blocks that told you that you can't be anywhere else. You can't do this anywhere else. That like, if you want to be a tailor, you have to work at a seamstress shop. You can't have your own business. If you want to design clothes, you have to get a job with a fashion designer. You can't do it independently. So you're breaking free from this block the block is your belief that there's only one way to do a thing. And because you don't want to do it that one way that you can't do it. So that's the block that that's the mindset, the belief system that you're moving away from. And excuse me. And you're also shifting the way that you work, where, you know, we've got this this tortoise and the hare, very, you know, like the, what is it? Is it one of the Aesop's fables? The story, right? About the tortoise and the hare that, you know, slow and steady wins the race. But we have this rabbit here that's like, she's not going anywhere. She's sitting on her suitcase, actually. And so it's like, is she waiting for the tortoise to come? Is she waiting for someone to give her a ride? Like, we kind of see them like looking at each other. And so this almost feels like the way you're breaking through this block is to really be confrontational in how you look at your belief systems. Because I think as you reflect more on like the things that you believe, like what you're capable of or what you can do or what you can't do, that you're going to see kind of how ridiculous they are when you are able to kind of pit them against each other, to have this confrontation. Because like what you're going to see is, maybe like, to go back to this tailor example, that like, I can't open a tailor shop. Like I don't have access to like a building. I don't have the means to like, to rent a space. And like, I don't have all this equipment. All I have is like a serger in my home, and I have like a small space that people could come and, you know, like close the door, try on their pants, and then I could come in and like size them. And then I can do it, you know, I could do it from my house, but like, I don't have the money to open a business. And this other belief is, you know, is looking at you like, oh, okay, so people don't run businesses out of their home. And you're like, well, but to be a successful tailor, you have to have a shop that people can come to. Oh, okay, so you don't live someplace with an address that people can put in their GPS and find you? Well, but I have to have a storefront. I have to have something with my name on it. Oh, so like a website? You can't create a website where people can find you? Sorry, I'm having a lot of fun with this little imaginary conversation that you and your beliefs are having. So the spark of hustle. Okay, like moving myself forward. So the blocks that you are breaking through are, you know, these old beliefs that there's only one way to do it. And with this, the spark of hustle, this is maybe just me. I feel like it's a lot of people. Capitalism and hustle culture, it's not the only way to be successful. Also, success is different for everybody, right? That, let's say that you are a tailor, and you have a spouse that, you know, they make really good money. And so your tailor business is not dependent on, or like excuse me, like your household income is not dependent on how good of a tailor you are. So like, or how busy of a tailor you are. That like, if you don't have anybody that needs alterations done for 2 weeks, like your family isn't going to suffer. But if you have, you know, really steady business that's coming in, then that benefits your family. And so being busy, hustling, grinding, striving does not equate to success. And so I feel like if you have a belief that you have to be crazy busy doing this thing, like that's the only way that you'll succeed, or that's the only way that it's going to be like financially beneficial, I feel like that's going to be another belief that that you are confronting, right? Because we can have this conversation again, like, well, you know, if I become a tailor, I need to be busy all the time. You know, and the other side of it is like, why? Because you need more money? Because you and your spouse don't have enough income to pay the bills right now? Well, but if I have a job, I have to make a lot of money. what's a lot of money, you know, and like kind of having this, almost having this like back and forth with yourself. I feel like that, that's a pivotal part of your breakthrough, because the thing that you're breaking through is like these old limiting beliefs that have kept you from moving forward. Yeah, they've kept you stuck and stagnant, you know. And so this energy that's coming in with Six of Swords is like, okay, it's time to move on. Okay, like it's almost like your higher self is like, all right, let's go through this whole rigmarole with this old belief system so that we can get you on the boat to move you forward to being a tailor, because that's what you want, that's what we want. Like, let's make it happen. Okay, so finally we have what lies ahead, and we have Nine of Cups in reverse, and we have let your inner fire warm you, not burn you. Okay, perfect. Nine of Cups in the upright can be a card of excess. In the traditional tarot, it is a guy with 9 cups behind him. He's got some rosy cheeks, so we make the assumption that he drank all 9 glasses of wine. With this card, we've got this little meerkat with this little genie lamp. And it's almost like all these 9 cups are the things that they wished for. It's a card of wish fulfillment, but when we think about, like, kind of to go back to the little fable, the traditional stories, like the genie in the lamp, the genie only grants 3 wishes. So this is 3 times those 3 wishes, right? So when we have too much, like we have an excess, because this is in reverse, this card is saying that, like, the card is really kind of encouraging, like, be aware of where you're doing things in excess, right? And so with this, work card, like being, having a steady amount of work is good. Having to hustle because there's too much work to do and not enough hours in the day, that's excessive. And we don't want you to be excessive. Like it feels like there's a balance that needs to happen in how you're working, how you're doing things, how you will be doing things. And so it feels like the thing that you take for granted is that you don't think that you can control your own business, which is very interesting, right? That you take for granted that you have the ability to say, to put on your website, right? Because you're going to run this business out of your home, to put on your website, hey, the shop is going to be closed for a week because it's, I don't know, it's spring break and I'm going to take my kids on a trip. Or just FYI, I'm not taking any new alterations work after this time because I'm booked up, or I've reached my max capacity. Or even, like, let's say that you start making those trousers, we talked about making those pants, like, and you're selling them on Shopify, you can put on there that, like, you're out of stock, even though you're technically not, right? Like, how do you run out of stock of making pants? Well, maybe you've run out of materials. Maybe you run out of time. Maybe you're just tired and you thought that it would make you really happy to make 10 pairs of pants a day. And then you realize that you cannot, because you are not a factory. You are an otter that's just trying to live his best otter life as a tailor. So with this balancing energy, like, I'm reminding you that you are able to control how much work that you do or don't do. And that if you feel inclined to pressure yourself into doing more, this is a reminder to focus on that balance, right? Like, let your inner fire warm you, not burn you. So when we think about, like, being out in the sun, like, you should always wear sunscreen, because I'm not a dermatologist, but I feel like, sunscreen is important because there's a hole in the ozone. But spending 30 minutes out in the sun is good for your body. Spending 30 hours out in the sun is very bad for your skin and painful, and you're going to be dehydrated. And I don't know where you are, that the sun is out for 30 hours, but you probably need some sleep. So I feel like what lies ahead, you're being given the opportunity to, to integrate some balance into your life. Yeah. To not necessarily learn balance. Like, you understand the concept of balance. You have everything you need to create balance in your life. It feels like you have a lot of freedom, like we kind of talked about with like your spouse being the primary breadwinner. Like, you have this freedom to make money or not make money, that whether this business does well or not, it's not going to be detrimental to anything else. Like, that's what I mean by freedom. That you don't have to hustle, right? That like there are many, many people that don't have a choice but to work the job that they are working. Like, you are, whatever this work is that you want to do, that's not the case with it. So this could be like a side project, a passion project, but you're being encouraged to balance how you approach it. Like, balancing like how much power you recognize that you have. Because for some reason, like, you didn't believe that you had that before. So this is just a reminder that you have the power to decide not to take any more clients. You have the power to let your current clients know that, like, after this pair of pants, like, I need to close the shop for a month. So if you want me to let you know when I reopen, just give me your email address, and I can send an email and just let everybody know, like, hey, taking orders again. If you're interested, and if not, that's totally okay too. That you have the power to do that. And that, like, when that needs to happen, when that rebalancing needs to happen, that, like, if you're worried that you won't know if you're out of balance, like, your guides will let you know. That if you don't catch it first, you have a fail safe. There's two of you. If you don't catch it first, you have a fail safe that your guides, God, source, spirit, angels, ancestors, whatever you believe in, will let you know that, like, hey, you're doing too much. Maybe you have cats that will come in and scream at you when you're in your office too late to tell you that you need to go downstairs and watch some TV and relax. So maybe just me. But yes, group number 3, this has been your reading. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I just want to say thank you so much for letting me read cards for you. Thanks for sharing your reading with me. So look at this kid. Look at this guy. He is excited. So I don't know what thing it is that you're doing, but you are excited about it. And I love it. Like, his little mouth open. Oh my gosh. This cracks me up. This reminds me of, this is so random. This reminds me of, if you Google green grass snake, because I did for this tattoo, because I want to make sure that there are green snakes. Why would there not be green snakes? I don't know. This is welcome to my brain. But if you Google green grass snake, there is a little green snake with his mouth open that just looks like this guy. Like, he's so excited to be a little snaky baby. I love it. Anytime I'm sad, I look at that picture. So if you're sad and you're not terrified of snakes, then Google that guy. But I want to say, again, thank you for letting me read cards for you. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, as well as comment. I'd love to hear if you want to share, like, what your little passion project is, or even if you want to share the nonsensical inner mind arguments that you have. That help you break through, those limiting beliefs. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. So I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 4. Sorry, I think I just hit the microphone. If you chose the High Priestess card and the Amazonite crystal, this is your reading. So I have chosen cards for you from the Unfolding Path Tarot, as well as a number of oracle cards. So we will be looking at your current energy, what you're breaking free from, what blocks you are breaking through, and then what lies ahead. So let's take a look at your current energy. We have the Tower and sadness. Okay. So it looks like you're currently in a you're in the midst of a hard time. So a tower moment is when something in our life kind of crumbles, falls apart. We are in a full moon eclipse. As I'm recording this, I think it went full yesterday. It might still be full today, but that eclipse energy lasts about 6 months. So if you look back at your life in October of 2023, that was the first time that we had an eclipse in Libra. And so this is the second eclipse. I believe we're going to have one more in the fall, but eclipses bring like a big shakeup energy. So this Tower card coming up doesn't surprise me. It could be that something that got removed or like had a big shift happen in your life was something that you weren't expecting. So this can be a layoff, like unexpected breakup, like a fallout with like a friend or even like your family. It's something that like we might not have seen coming, and so the unexpectedness of it is really difficult to deal with. Uncertainty is really hard to deal with for anybody, but I think it's triggered a lot of sadness for you, that like it might be a loss. If you lost someone, if there was a death, I'm really sorry, and my heart is with you. Loss is such a complicated, difficult thing, and grieving is really, really hard. Just to share a personal anecdote, I lost my stepdad in 2017. And I think it took me like a year to actually grieve him. Like I'm the firstborn. And so my brother, I have a little brother. I mean, he's not really little, he's like, he's somebody's dad, and he's like in his mid 30s, but, he was very much like the golden child, and so I'm the firstborn, that's like, that had been working so hard to like win my mom's approval. So when my stepdad passed, like I just kind of went into like hero mode. And I did all the things. I wanted to fix all the problems. I wanted to be there for everybody. And so I wasn't there for myself. So it took me about a year to grieve, him. And, I don't remember how long I grieved. Like I remember last year. So he passed in 2017. Last year's 2023. I was driving home from the gym, and I live in a very rural part of, I was gonna say I live in a very rural part of North Carolina, but a lot of North Carolina is very rural. And so there's a fun fact about North Carolina. There's a lot of family cemeteries, which means that like there's kind of random cemeteries around on like privately owned land. And so I take like a back road to come back to my house from the gym, and there was a funeral that they were setting up for. It was kind of early in the day, and they had 4 Air Force members out there from the Honor Guard, and it took me back to when my stepdad passed. He was an Air Force veteran. He retired after 20 years, and so we had the Honor Guard come out and do the salute and the flag and play taps. And I'm driving back to my house, and like all the feelings hit me, and it kind of took me back to that day, because I was in uniform for his funeral, and I didn't want to cry in uniform, but it was really hard. Like taps, I think it's always a song that's like really, it's very sad, and then to hear it at a funeral, it's really hard. So I say all that to say that if you have lost someone, my heart is with you, and I'm giving you a great big hug over the internet, and just reminding you to be really gentle with yourself, whether someone has passed or you've just lost like a relationship or a connection. Like grief we grieve lots of things, like we can grieve the things that have never happened. So I just want to give you lots and lots of love. But this tower moment, like the hard part with this is that, like, when we're really in our processing of our feelings, it's very hard to kind of have it's hard for, like, the wisdom to come in for us to see a different perspective of the thing that we lost. And with this High Priestess card, like, there's a divine element to this. And I if you have lost someone, like if someone that you love has passed to the other side, it's really hard. I understand it's really, really hard to see that. Like, it took me years to understand, like, why. Because I, like, as an intuitive person, like, I was able to kind of tap into what happened around the time my stepdad passed and kind of see things that, like, I wouldn't be able to see without intuition, and understand, like, why things happen the way they did. Because there's ripple effects to all the decisions that we make, and that, like, part of his decision was for this ripple effect over here to happen for multiple people in his family. And it took me, like, maybe like a year and a half to, like, have that intuitive, like, download come in, because, like, at the time that he died, like, it was too raw. I couldn't have accepted that. Yeah. And, like, I've never shared it with any of his family, like, what I saw or, like, what it was. 'Cause I know that, like his family isn't, like, spiritual that way. They're more religious. And so, like, that information would probably not be believed, and it would be really jarring. But for me, like, understanding it was really helpful, and it also gave me, like, this huge sense of even more gratitude about him, because he was just a great human, just, like, a really great human. And, like, that intuitive download made me so much more grateful that he came into my life and my family's life. But with this High Priestess here, I feel like this tower moment, there's like divine orchestration behind it in a way. And, like, that doesn't mean that, like, if you're in pain because you lost something, or, like, you feel like this thing that happened, this tower moment that happened, is not punishment. That's not how the divine works. Like the divine God, source, spirit, like your angels, your guides, your high self, your God self, like, they don't want to cause you any pain. But I think the hard part of being human is that we get attached to people, habits, situations, circumstances, activities that can be really harmful to us, and we get attached to them because we don't see how harmful they are, or we don't want to acknowledge it, or we just are kind of consumed with that attachment. So when those things are taken away, it creates this sadness, it creates this loss. But the taking away isn't a punishment. It's not that, like, you did something wrong by not being able to let go, or it's not that you did something wrong by being attached to whatever this thing was that you lost. Like, it's all part of a journey, right? It's all part of a journey. And so I feel like this High Priestess, she looks like a grandmother, right? She's got this very wise kind of crone energy, but she's holding this pomegranate, which is like this abundance, like this nourishment. And then also with this Amazonite card, we have the message of comfort. Oh, geez. And so to me, what it feels like is, you have these higher, like, this kind of higher self, God self, like, angels, spirits, like, support around you, that, like, yes, this loss is part of a divine plan, but also, like, they're here to bring you comfort. Like they're always there comforting you. If there are times that you feel alone and sad and like things are really hard, you can call on them, just to sit with you, to help you get some clarity, to give you some encouragement, to bring people in, that can help and support you if that's what you need. So yeah, this is the energy. This is the current energy for group 4. So if this doesn't resonate for you, like if you're not sad, if you haven't had an unexpected tower moment, there are 3 other readings that you can choose from. So let's look at the rest of these cards. Okay, so next we have your current, oh, not your current energy. That's what I just said. Next we have, what are you breaking free from? So we have this 10 of Pentacles, this multiple generations of a family, and a time to give rather than take. Okay, so 10 of Pentacles to me is one of the happily ever after cards. And you're not breaking free from a happily ever after. I feel like you might be breaking free from some kind of like familial stuff, or even like some kind of union. Like this could be a marriage. You could be moving away from some dependency, some codependency. And I say that because of this, a time to give rather than take, that you might have been taking more than you were giving in this situation, and they might have been giving you more than you actually needed, because I feel like that's kind of how codependency works, right? That like both parties, like one person is not codependent on another person. I feel like both people are codependent. Like it's codependency is it's a team sport. And so to me, what codependency looks like is you have 2 people that are tied together at the waist by a rope, and it's a very short rope. So if one person goes down, it's going to pull the other person down. And for both of them to stand up, like, well, for one of them to stand up, both of them have to stand up. This rope is so short that like one going down, it's just going to pull the other. And so what this feels like to me is that like you had or have someone in your life that is, they've created like a certain kind of lifestyle for you that like is not sustainable for you by yourself. And so like it's almost like the loss of that, or maybe like this could even be like, I don't know what, like love bombing came through. So if you were in a relationship where like you were being love bombed and you have gotten out of that, like that's codependency as well, where like the person that's doing the love bombing is trying to make the other person that's receiving the love bombing dependent on them. And so like if that love bombing becomes the normal, then the lack of love can be leveraged to manipulate the person that was receiving it. So it just feels like there's some kind of like unhealthy relationship or like family dynamic here. Like this doesn't have to be like romantic or family. This could be a friend group. This could be work. Like you can have like toxic codependency or toxic relationships like in any space where you connect with people. You could have this in like your homeowners association. You could have it in like a gym or like a workout class. Like I mean, we have it in government, you know. So what I'm picking up is the thing that you are breaking free from is some kind of toxic or codependent relationship dynamic. And you might have been giving more than you were taking, or this might just be the message, you know, of like the validation that there is an imbalance because of like the toxicity or the codependency. And so like with this new moon in Virgo, like the eyes being closed, new moons, you know, it's when the moon is hidden, so it's very dark, but it might be something that you haven't seen, and it's almost like now that you like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so I don't know if because even here, like both women have their eyes closed. And so it might be something that you don't want to see, but we've got this, everybody here has their eyes open. This high priestess and all these people have their eyes open. Oh, sorry. This guy has his eyes down though, assuming he's looking at this baby. So this could be you. You might be the person that's like not wanting to see the reality of it, not wanting to see the truth of it. And I think like this is hard information to receive, right? Because like you're either receiving information that like there's some relationship that has been out of balance and toxic and you didn't want to see it, or like this information is that like you're codependent in a relationship and like also not wanting to see that, right? Or even potentially that you were like giving more or taking more than you were giving, and now like you need to make a shift. Like, so I understand like this is hard. This is kind of hard energy. But looking at like the imbalance of relationship, of some kind of like connection or relationship, like it's making more sense to me why the high priestess is here. Because if we have our eyes closed to some kind of habit or pattern that's not beneficial to us, then it makes sense that like a divine presence is going to come in to create a shift so that like we have to open our eyes. Okay, so next we have, what blocks are you breaking through? Okay, whoops. Okay, so we've got the moon. And magic happens when you most expect it. 44, 4 plus 4 is 8. 44 is also a master number if you're into numerology. Okay, so the block that you are breaking through, sorry. I'm laughing at myself. The block that you are breaking through is not being able to see what's happening. So the moon is a card of kind of shadowy darkness. Like the moon card comes out when there's something that we're not seeing. The moon comes out at night. At nighttime it's dark, it's hard to see, but the moon is illuminating something. So we've got this really gorgeous magical woman. She's got the lobster on her arm, which is from the traditional tarot, but we can see under the light of the moon that there is a path here, right? There's somewhere that like she's being guided to go, but she's not looking at it. She can't see the path yet because it's dark, it's not lit up. I also love these magnolia flowers here. Because like if you have ever been near a magnolia tree, like the flowers are really, really sweet. They're really just very big, and like they're one of those flowers that like the real thing like looks fake. Like if you've ever seen, like I can't think of another flower. Like if you see like a really beautiful rose, like it doesn't look fake, right? There's like something about like the materials they use to make fake roses, like they just look really fake. But I feel like magnolias are one of those flowers that like the real ones look just exactly like the fake ones, but they have like a really, really sweet smell to them. And so to me it feels like the block that you're breaking through is your inability to see what was happening, and that there's really amazing sweetness on the other side once you're able to open your eyes. And so we've got this like luck and abundance card. Again, we talked about the comfort part of it, but like this stone, this crystal also has to do with luck and abundance. And so it feels like when you break free, when you break through and you actually are able to see the reality of kind of the imbalance, the toxicity, the codependence, and you start to understand why this tower moment had to happen, that there's this really beautiful, like, positive, it's good, there's good things on the other side of this realization. And so this card with like magic happens when you most expect it, like I feel like there is a part of you, especially like with the way that she's falling, right? That she's just kind of like helpless, you know, like she's, I have to sneeze, sorry. Okay, so I don't know what's going on. I have had to stop this video twice because my, like, the way I have screen mirroring on so I can see and make sure that all the cards are in frame. And it went off twice, and then I just stopped it because I had to sneeze. I'm a really loud sneezer. And I didn't want to sneeze my microphone. I also didn't want to like scream in your ear. But I feel like the camera kind of shutting off is really connected to this energy of like not wanting to see the reality of things, right? Because like I can't, if I can't see the video, you know, on my screen on my laptop, then I can't make sure that you're getting the right message, or that you're able to see it. So I just feel like there's something around, it could be a fear of seeing the reality of it. Like you just don't want to, right? And the way that, like what I was trying to say earlier, the way that this person is falling out of the tower, like it's almost like there's no fight in them, right? Like she's just kind of given into the fact that like she's gonna fall where she falls. And not to say that like we really have any control over like what happens when we fall out of a tower, or like you definitely didn't have any control over this happening, but it almost feels like this toxic codependent situation has been very disempowering for you, you know? And so sometimes like when we don't believe that we have power, like we can get into imbalanced relationships. Sometimes when we get into imbalanced relationships, it can create this really uneven power dynamic, right? Like all of this is kind of rooted in manipulation, you know, because if codependency is essentially about control. And so if we are coming into a connection with the hopes of controlling someone, it's because we feel like there's a power imbalance, right? Where maybe one side is more has to carry more of the responsibility, or the other side needs to feel safe for control. So like not all uneven power dynamics in relationships are bad, right? When we look at parent and child, like the parent's responsibility is to keep that child safe. The child, unfortunately, is not, they don't understand what is safe and what isn't safe. So because they don't have any context, they can't be responsible for their own safety. In the same token, like that dynamic of safety doesn't apply for everything. So I feel like this is something that like I remember when it came up. I don't have children. I remember when it came up and how resistant people were to it and how it's a norm now. And what I'm talking about is how children, you know, like parents were talking about like, my kid doesn't want to hug Uncle Jack and it's really embarrassing. And I just tell them that you have to hug people sometimes, you know, but then it's like, how do you have the conversation about stranger danger with like bad touch and like good touch and things like that? And so like I can remember when that first started coming up and people were like, well, you just have to tell your kids to be nice to family and hug their Aunt Diane even though they don't like her, all the way to where we are now, where it's kind of like parents are like, well, you know, if sorry Grandpa Joe, like little Susie doesn't want to give you a hug, and that's her choice. She gets to control her body. And so I say all of that to say that like with power dynamics, like when there is, oh, I feel like I have to sneeze again. I don't know what is going on. it's it's hard to acknowledge and see when manipulation is happening, right? It's hard to see that like we might have been manipulated by people, because that kind of puts us into this like defensive victim state, because like maybe like nobody wants to realize that they were being manipulated, but also like no one wants to acknowledge that like somebody else is a manipulator. And then the other part of it that makes it really hard is that like we are taught to so readily like blame people, instead of trying to have compassion. And that goes for others and ourselves, right? Because like you might have your eyes closed to this because you don't want to acknowledge that like you were manipulated by someone, because now you're starting to blame yourself. Like you should have known better, and you should have seen this coming. You should have this and that. And like how could you? And why should you be able to predict other human beings' behavior? Like who made you responsible for that? Like, I mean, I read tarot cards. I'm highly intuitive, and like I can't predict what people are going to do. I've been manipulated many times. Like there's many times that I've done manipulating and I didn't realize what I was doing because I wasn't awake and aware yet. And so that's like the other part of it. If you, if you feel like you're the one that's been, if you see that you have a part in the manipulation, and it's making you like judge yourself, or like you don't want to see it because you don't want to be a bad person, like you're not a bad person. Like being a manipulator is not like the worst thing that you can do in the world, right? Because in all honesty, like all human beings do it. And we're socialized and culturized to learn how to do it at a very young age. And nobody really talks about how it doesn't change when you're an adult. We just don't really talk about what's happening, right? So like children, like kids will cry if they need something. Infants will cry, and that's like the only way that they can express anything. They just cry because they're hungry, or they cry because they're hurt, or they're, they just make noises like this little guy. And like they haven't learned language yet, so they can't say, excuse me, I would like to have some food. So they just cry, and then the parents have to figure it out. And then as they get older, they learn language, right? But as toddlers, like what we condition children to understand is that if you alter your own behavior in different ways, you can get what you want out of people. So maybe, altering your behavior with grandma by being super cute and wearing the clothes that she likes you to wear that you hate is how you get extra toys. Maybe altering your behavior to be really funny and entertaining is how you get dad to not make you clean your room. Maybe altering your behavior to have a tantrum is how you get your uncle's behavior away from the baby. So we grow up into people, that learn like how to manipulate other people to get what we want in relationships, or get out of things at work, or cry to get out of a speeding ticket, or like threaten violence to get someone to like get out of our personal space, right? So I say all that to say, like, if you are having a hard time seeing any part of this manipulation stuff and it's causing you to beat yourself up, like, please do not, because this is part of being a human being. Like learning to see the reality of ourselves, learning to be kind to ourselves while we make changes, and like learning to not do the things that make us feel bad about ourselves, So like you are on this journey, right? And you have this high priestess, you have this guide, that she is here to comfort you. She's here anytime that you need her. So please, like, don't feel like you are alone. This magic happens most when you expect it, or magic happens when you most let me read that again. I don't know why I'm having a hard time reading this. Magic happens when you most expect it. Okay. Because you're breaking through this inability to see the reality of things. As you, like, once you break through this, like, you are going to learn that you have the power, you've always had the power to collect evidence for what it is that you want more of in your life. So like this card says, like, when we expect magic to happen, like, it happens. And so that's what I mean by collecting evidence. Like, if you have been taught, programmed, or just chosen to collect evidence that, like, you don't have any power, that you have to manipulate people to get your needs met, that taking is easier than giving, that uneven power dynamics are normal. Like, if you have been raised, taught, or just chosen to believe that, that is what you will see. And in the same token, if you choose to believe that you have the power, that you have support, because we've got the moon symbolism, right? We've got this, like, crescent here of this new moon behind the high priestess. We've got the two moons on either side of her full moon on her head, and then we literally have the moon card. If you choose to believe that you are divinely guided and that you have the power to see the truth, that you can ask for the truth and you can act on the truth, then the path will be shown to you. You'll start to collect that evidence that, like, it's safe for me to open my eyes to the reality of what's happening, that, like, that you are abundant, that you will be okay. And what you will start to see is situations where, you know, like, maybe you're involved in this unhealthy dynamic and you choose to spend less time with those people, or you choose to make space from that connection, and your needs are still able to be met. You're still okay. Everything's fine. Like, that is the magic that you're going to see when you expect to see it. So I feel like that's the block that you're breaking through, is this kind of eyes shut, not wanting to see it, denial energy. And so finally, we have what lies ahead. Aw, Two of Cups. And, oh, you are safe here. Okay, this is so perfect. So Two of Cups is a card of just love, partnership, evenness. You know, we have both of these ladies, and they're embracing each other. You know, both of them are leaning in for this kiss. She's holding her up here, she's holding her down here. They both have a cup in their hand. We could see, like, a little bit of a smile, like the cheekbone here, you know, like the cheekbones raised, and then she's got a smile on her face. But the energy is that they're leaning into each other. There's a mutual desire for that connection. And so what lies ahead for you is balanced and healthy relationships, safe relationships and connections. So you know, if this for you was something that's, like, familial, this is going to be like a soul family, like a chosen family. If this is something that's romantic, like if you are going through a divorce, this is, you know, going to be like healthy partnerships, healthy relationships. The same thing with friends. You know, if you are kind of disconnecting from manipulative friends, you will be, what lies ahead for you when you break through that denial, and you break free from these unhealthy power dynamics in the relationship. What lies ahead for you is these really, like, beautiful, balanced, healthy, safe connections. You know, and again, like, the luck and abundance here, I feel like the luck, I was having a hard time, like, understanding what the luck is about. But with this card, and especially because it matches, like, when you find these connections, you find these people, like, you're going to have this, like, it's going to feel like dumb luck, you know, that, like, how did this happen? Like, I don't, like, I'm so lucky that I just happened to find these people. I happen to connect with these people. Like, it's not something that you, like, you don't understand how it happened, because, like, you didn't make it happen. And so this lady, high priestess, she's a big part of that, you know, like your guides, angels, like, really, like, this for you coming into these really healthy, balanced, loving, caring, deeply connected relationships it's part of your soul contract. Like, this is what you came here for. That, that was part of the experience that you wanted to have in this life. You wanted to know what, really deep, like, just powerful, unconditional love. You wanted to experience that in this lifetime, and that is what lies ahead for you. So, group number 4, this has been your reading about what you are breaking free from, what you're breaking through. So, I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you don't feel like I was beating up on you. I was not. Like, there have been so many times that I've been in denial about so many relationships. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself because, like, I know my past. You don't know my past. I know my past. So, like, I have this, like, a head count of like how many times I've been in situations where, like, I was in denial about things, and it feels like a lot. So I ask that you please do not beat up on yourself for having a hard time to see the reality of things, because sometimes, like, the truth is not, it's sometimes it can be really hard, but we can do hard things. We can see hard things. You have, like, the power to shift and change. You have the support. You have the the moon card is a card of intuition. So, like, your intuitive self knows what needs to be done. It also knows that you'll be completely okay. So if your ego's freaking out that, like, you can't disconnect from these people, definitely lean on your intuition, lean on your guides, angels, higher self, God self. And I feel like, again, like with this magnolia, like the sweetness that's coming when you break through that denial and you're able to see the truth, the sweetness that's coming is these really healthy, beautiful connections. So I just felt it was necessary to end with that, to remind you that, like, all things happen for us, not to us, and all things are happening for our highest good. And if you can just trust that, if you can look for that, if you can start to expect that, then you're going to see it everywhere. So yes. Group number 4, this has been your reading. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me read for you. If you enjoyed the reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. I'd also love it if you commented, if there's anything about this that really stuck out for you. If you feel like I was mean to you about the denial, like, you let me know, and I will do my best to be much more gentle. But I feel like you're coming out of this. Like, you're coming out of this, and you've got this. There's so much beautiful stuff that's waiting for you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.